A service level agreement is basically our client's contractual obligation to their clients and how they deliver the products or the services that they've sold, right? And a lot of times there's a penalty tied to the lack of performance for that. So much thought is put into R&D, production, manufacturing, labor, technology, and everything else that it takes to make that sale, that last piece, the logistics of how you get it there, gets left out. And so we're looking at how can we help our partners and our customers meet their SLAs.
When we're getting in a room and kind of starting the whiteboarding session and understanding, again, what their cycle is from a production standpoint, what their expectation is for the client, the end users, what does that look like to make sure they're within their budgets that they've set on their side. What we've seen is when they do that, then we're successful as well. We're able to have that win-win.
When we're collaborating with the client and we're making sure that we have all the information we need and building out SOPs, we usually bring in our operations at that point to see from the front end what the client's requiring of us and how we can start building that relationship. When operations is working with the client through that and making sure that they're getting all the information they need, it can be a relief to our client, but it's also a relief to operations because they're building that relationship with our customers and they're understanding that this is more of a partnership. This is not just I do A to Z and I keep you updated. And that's where I think it's most important for our account management team, being very honest and open at the beginning with our clients and saying, hey, what are all the things that you currently are having issues with, and what are the things you're not having issues with, and what are the things that you're very happy with? Because we want to be sure that not only do we address the things that they already think are going right, we want to see if we can provide a solution that makes those situations even better. One of our biggest values is creating trust within ourselves and our clients. And in doing so, what we do is we show them that we're an extension of their business. And we show them that their end clients are also considered our end clients. So our pain points are the same.
That's what we do. We actually get out in a room with a client. Sometimes we have different folks within the same company that haven't been in a discussion like that. And we ask questions, right? We're not there to sell. We're not there to try and solve the problem. We just want to take a really deep dive into their supply chain, their challenges, their commitments to their clients, how they want to grow, what's important to them, so that we can take that back and take our knowledge, right, our expertise in warehousing and transportation, and figure out how we apply it to what they do to help them service their clients the best, help them meet their KPIs. What is it that's important to them? What drives their business, and what part do we play in that? And so when you have a solutions-oriented company, we're not just moving your boxes, we're looking at how can we help you manage your supply chain in the most cost-effective way without risking the business.
Depending on the product that they're moving, is there a product that's outside of just your standard, movement, right? Is there something that's going to be outside this SLA that we're agreeing to, and do we need to put multiple SLAs in, right? So is there a 1-day opportunity? Is there a 2-day? Is there 3 to 5 days or something that we can offer? We don't want to be the cookie cutter folks and give them that opportunity. So, try to really listen to their pain points and see where they're running into those bottlenecked opportunities or positions, and where can we, build that out so they don't run into that any longer.
I think the most important thing is that they come to us and ask us for our opinions just as they would internally, so they consider us part of the decision-making process. And I think that's very important because it ensures that we're aligned from beginning to end, and they value our opinion as well. When we discuss consequence of failure with our customers, what we're really trying to make them understand is this isn't just a consequence of failure on their side. It's also a consequence of failure on our side.
We talked about shipments of consequence and what can we do to help them understand, what's the real need here. California to New Jersey, do you really need that tomorrow? If it's just going to sit in a warehouse for another month, do you need to spend the money, Mr. Client, in making that happen? We're more than happy to, but how can we help you kind of look at that bottom dollar and make those best decisions?
What's interesting is that about once a quarter, our EVP of sales puts on a company-wide meeting where we actually talk to our team about the challenges the customer has, what failure means to them and what failure means to us, so that we actually understand that. For me, they're almost synonymous. If we're failing on our side, What's the risk? We lose the business, right? What's the risk to the client? They could lose their business or they could incur costs. There's a myriad of different things. One of my favorite examples that gets brought up a lot, and this is tied to SLAs, is there's a financial institution that's kind of famous for their SLA penalty, which is if you don't have your ATM in place and running by this date, there's a $5,000 penalty every day it's not there. When you have something like that, you're not worried about 10 cents a mile. You've got to make sure that it gets there, and you've got to avoid that SLA penalty. But it doesn't mean you throw caution to the wind and you use an exclusive truck for every ATM. By having a relationship with them, we were actually able to get in on the planning side of their business, participate in the planning meetings, and help them think about shipping the ATMs geographically so that we could consolidate them. And now we're reducing their cost per unit, not focusing on the cost per mile, and we're always hitting those delivery windows so that they don't get the SLA penalties. When the client sees that we're not saying, hey, here's what we do, get in our box, this is how you use us, but they see that we're looking out for them, that we're putting KPIs in place in support of their KPIs, that we're not saying yes to everything, right? We won't be all things to all people, but where we're saying, hey, this is where we can add value, and this is where we can save you money. Not just pennies per pound and not just, dollars per mile, right? Which are things that have to be considered, but how can we really help you with cost avoidance and revenue recognition and avoiding SLA penalties and all that stuff? When they see that you're in it to help them and support them, I think that win-win mentality is seen, and I think that gives us trust and it allows us to grow together.